If I told you I thought I was the hero of my own story, but actually, I was the villain in someone else's, would you believe me? I didn't either. I always thought I was right, that every word, every decision, every anger of mine was justified. But that day, when the truth hit me, everything shattered. And believe me, that truth wasn't as simple as it looks in movies. My name's Ryan. This is my story of a guy who thought he was always right until he saw the real picture of himself. I was always a bit different as a kid. Quiet, but stubborn deep down. I always felt like no one could truly understand me. Maybe that's why I never even tried to understand others. In college, I met Emma. She came into my life like a sudden light in a dark room. Her smile, the way she talked, everything was different. But that wasn't the real thing. The real thing was that she understood me, or at least I thought she did. We got closer slowly. Every day, every chat made me believe I was special to her. And that's when I started seeing myself as the hero. But was I really the hero? Or just making up a story in my head? At first, everything was perfect. We talked for hours, dreamed together, planned the future. I believed I was making her happy, that I was the best part of her life. But slowly, things changed. Emma wasn't the same anymore. She talked less, smiled less. And me, I never tried to understand why. I just thought one thing. Maybe she's changed. But did she really change? Or did I never really understand her? I got angry at every little thing. I felt like she was ignoring me. And every single time, without even listening to her side, I blamed her. I thought I was right. Always. And that's where my biggest mistake started. One day, she said to me, "Ryan, you never listen to me?" I laughed. I thought she was overreacting. But that day, something happened that changed my whole world. Honestly, I wish that day had never come. Because that day, for the first time, I realized I wasn't the hero. I was something else. Something I didn't even want to admit. The day started like any other. But I had no idea this normal day would be the heaviest day of my life. Emma was silent all day. No messages, no calls. First, I was worried, then angry. Why is she doing this? I called her many times, but she never picked up. And that's when my mind started making up stories. Maybe she wants to stay away from me. Maybe she found someone else. But was any of that true? Or was it just my fear turning into doubt? Finally, in the evening, she answered. Her voice was soft, tired. "Ryan, we need to talk." That line, it changes every story. I got angry. "What now? Why do you always make drama?" A few seconds of silence. Then she said softly, "You really don't understand, or you don't want to." That hit my ego hard. Without thinking, I shot back, "If you've got a problem, then you should change." And maybe that was the moment everything started falling apart. Have you ever judged someone without really understanding them? I did, and I thought I was right. But truth always shows up late. The next day, Emma asked to meet. I went, but inside I was full of anger. She sat across from me, but the spark in her eyes was gone. "Ryan, I'm tired," she said. I immediately replied, "Then don't stay with me." I said it in anger, but maybe those words were enough to end everything. She stayed silent, just looked at me, like she wanted to say something but couldn't. Then she reached out her phone. "Look at this." I took the phone. What I saw stopped my breath. But the real shock was yet to come. Because what I was about to see wasn't just a truth. It was a mirror. showing me my real face. And believe me, I didn't like what I saw. On the screen, some messages were open. At first, I didn't get it. But as I started reading, my heart sank. Those messages were from Emma, but not to anyone else. To herself. Yes, she was texting her own number. Each message was pain. Today again, he didn't listen to me. Maybe I'm not that important to him. I love him, but why doesn't he understand me? My hands started shaking. Was it all because of me? I looked at her. She wasn't looking at me, like she had given up on me. And that's when something inside me broke. Was I really that bad? Or had I never tried to look at myself? I always thought I made her happy. But these messages told a very different story. Every line was holding up a mirror, and that mirror was cruel. You only think about yourself, Ryan, she said softly. I couldn't say anything, because for the first time, I had no answer. Have you ever felt like you were right, until the truth hit you? That's exactly how I felt, and that feeling was heavy. Emma continued, I tried so hard for you to understand, but you never listened. Every word echoed inside me. I always thought I was the hero, but really, I was just the pain in her story, and that truth was breaking me from inside. I whispered, I'm not like that. But was I really not? Or was I lying to myself? Emma just said one thing. I wish you'd realized this sooner. And that was it. Everything ended. But the real story was just beginning. Because for the first time, I saw myself, and what I saw shook my whole world. The question was now, could I change? Or was I always going to be the person even I didn't like? After that day, everything changed. Emma left, no drama, no last hope, and me, I was alone for the first time. But this loneliness was different. It wasn't the kind where you just miss someone. It was the kind where you can't even escape yourself. Every day, I read those messages she sent herself. Every line cut me deep. Was I really that blind? Or did I just ignore everything on purpose? I looked back at our old messages, our chats. Slowly, everything started making sense. Every time she shared her feelings, I ignored her. Every time she needed me, I was busy with my ego. I never really listened. And still, I kept thinking I was the hero. Isn't that ironic? We all think we're the best person until someone shows us the truth. I called her many times, messaged her, but no reply. And maybe she was right, because I had nothing left to say. I started trying to change myself. But is change that easy? No. Every time I thought about my old behavior, I started hating myself. But does hate really change a person? Or just break them further? I asked myself that every day. And every day, I got no answer. But then, one day something happened that made me think. I was sitting alone in a cafe. There I saw a couple. The girl was talking, and the guy was just listening. Just listening. At that moment, I realized, maybe love isn't about talking. It's about listening. And I never really listened. That was my biggest failure. But was it the end? Or could it be a new beginning? I didn't know. But I did know one thing. I didn't want to be the same person anymore. Because now, I didn't see myself as the hero. I just wanted to be a better person. Change always starts with pain. And my pain had become a habit. Every morning, the first thought was Emma. But now those memories weren't sweet. They were a reminder of what I lost. Have you ever lost someone and found yourself? That's where I was. I started observing myself, how I react, how I think, how I speak. And the more I understood myself, the more I saw my mistakes. I always wanted to be right. I always wanted control. But does a relationship work on control or understanding? That question haunted me every day. I started making small changes, listening carefully, without interrupting, not reacting quickly, but trying to understand first. None of it was easy, because that wasn't who I was. But maybe that was who I needed to become. One day, I found an old voice note from Emma. I played it. There was a softness in her voice, one I had never noticed before. "Ryan, you're good. Just learn to listen a little." I stopped right there. Tears filled my eyes, because now I could listen. But she wasn't there. Is timing always this cruel? That day I made a decision. I wouldn't change to get her back. I'd change for myself, because if I became that same person again, I'd hurt someone else the same way, and I didn't want to be that guy anymore. But is leaving the past behind that easy? Or does it follow you everywhere? I didn't have the answer yet. But I knew one thing. I wasn't the hero. But maybe I didn't want to be the villain either. Time passed slowly, but some things never change, like memories. And Emma's memory was still with me. But now it didn't break me. It taught me. Can pain be a teacher? I never thought so before. But now, every pain was teaching me something new. I started talking to people. Before I just talked. Now I listened. And I realized everyone has a story. They just need someone to listen. And maybe that's all Emma ever needed. But I never gave her that. One day I got a message from her. Just a simple line. "I hope you're doing okay." My heart raced. Was this a chance or just closure? I replied, "I'm trying to be better." No reply for a while. Then she wrote, "That's all I ever wanted." I stared at the screen. So simple, yet so heavy. Do we sometimes make things unnecessarily complicated? I didn't call her, nor did I send a long message, because now I understood. Not every story needs a happy ending. Some stories are meant to change us, and Emma was my story. But was this really the end? Or was there still something left? I didn't know. But this time, I wasn't in a rush, because now I had learned to listen. Sometimes life takes you back to the place where you lost everything. And this time, I got that chance. I was sitting in that same cafe where I first understood myself. And then I saw her. Emma. She looked a little different, but the peace in her eyes was the same. Our eyes met, a few seconds. That felt like minutes. She came over. "Hi, Ryan." Her voice was still the same. I smiled softly. "Hi." We sat quietly for a bit, but this time, the silence wasn't uncomfortable. It was calm. "You've changed," she said. I replied softly, "I'm trying." Was this the moment I'd been waiting for, or just another test? Emma asked, "Do you still see yourself as the hero?" I smiled a little. "No, now I just try to understand myself." She smiled, and in that smile, there was no blame, just closure. We talked a little, old things, new things, but without any weight. Then she got up. "Take care, Ryan," I said. "You too." She left. And this time, I didn't stop her, because now I understood. Not every relationship lasts forever, but every relationship teaches you something. And Emma was my biggest lesson. But had I completely changed? Or was this just the beginning? Maybe this was the start of a new story, where I wasn't trying to be a hero, just trying to be a better person. Looking back at my story now, one thing's clear. I was never the hero. I was just a person who didn't understand himself. And maybe that's everyone's story. We think we're right until someone shows us the truth. But the question is, can we accept that truth? Or do we keep running from it? I tried running too. But running from the truth is like running from yourself. And one day, you have to stop. For me, that day came with Emma. She didn't leave me. She showed me who I really was. And maybe that was the greatest gift. Can every pain be a gift? Maybe not. But every pain can change you if you learn from it. Today, I see relationships differently. Now I don't try to win. I try to understand. Now I listen more than I speak. And most importantly, I don't see myself as the hero anymore. Because the real hero isn't the one who's always right. The real hero is the one who admits their mistakes and tries to be better. If you're reading this story, maybe you have an Emma in your life. Or maybe you're someone's Emma. So ask yourself, do you really listen? Or do you just listen to reply? Because sometimes, saving a relationship is just that simple. And if you don't learn that, one day you might realize, just like me, you weren't the hero. You were just a lesson. And believe me, nothing feels heavier than that. But if you understand now, maybe your story won't end like mine. And maybe you really can be the hero.